no man has gone before.
Boldly taking talk radio where it has never gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
To romance, showing my whole hands, laying my cards out flat. I stay with my heart on my sleeve. If you with me, anything I'll ever take back. I think I should be single for a while, scared in a little while, no room to slow it down. Probably best I'm single to get in my zone now, to stay in my zone. Lord knows my intentions are pure and my heart full of gold. Lord knows my intentions are pure, but my habits are cold.
Welcome in to hour 3. We were vibing a little bit, just a little bit. We're going to get into some things on RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So listen, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of advice, a lot of opinions about black women and their dating options, what they should do, what they should consider, who they should not consider, how they should move, how they should present themselves. So Trent hit me up and was like, I just want to know, who is allowed to give black women advice?
Because I'm not a woman. I don't know. And every time somebody opens their mouth, whether it's a man or a woman, honey, the internet, it goes into an uproar. And I need to know who is allowed, if anyone, to even offer suggestions on how to fine-tune and not settle, but modify some of the things, right? So some of these conversations can dissipate. Because I say it all the time, I don't have a dog in this race, but I want people to come to some type of healthy medium and understand each other. Because again, I have tons of black male friends that are single and eligible, and I have an equal amount of black female friends that are also single and eligible. And what is the disconnect? It drives me crazy. It really does. Because there's this conversation that nobody can seem to find a balance on. And guess what? Me being in the middle, hearing both sides of it, both sides sound the same. You guys are complaining about the same things, the lack of options. So what is it? How can we come to an agreement? And somebody said in the chat last time that they mamas is the ones that can give them advice. But I think that's how we kind of got here. Because if you have a broken mother giving you broken advice, there's a cycle. And if you're surrounding yourself with broken females or broken males who are also giving you broken advice, it's a cycle. So who can say something without catching all this flack? And I've heard both sides. Both sides have points. Everybody has a point. All sides are, it's honest and facts in all of it. But what is the end result? What is the solution?
Carrie Webb says, advice on what exactly?
So, Carrie, we've been having this conversation based on Tyler Perry's comments, based on Ebony K. Williams' comments about, I guess, the state of...
Amanda Seales also said she wasn't dating regular.
Just the state of black women and their dating options. And you got one side of the table saying, as long as he's loving you, he's not, cheating on you, putting you in a bad situation. If he doesn't make the same amount of money as close to you do, it's okay for you guys to date and be in love. And black women have interpreted that as having to settle, right? And then you've got Ebony K weighing in saying that black women should start looking for a husband and a boy or a serious relationship in college or shortly thereafter, because the options for you to find a man of a certain caliber, the options are going to go down. And then you've got the biological time clock. So you've got all these pieces, but you've also got women saying, why are you even advising us at all? Why are you even talking? So what is the argument? How can we help remedy the situation? Because it's kind of exhausting. It's kind of redundant, but there's also issues that need to be worked out.
Well, step one, unsolicited advice is just that. So it's not always going to be met with open arms. Nobody asked Tyler for his opinion. I'm just saying.
This is true.
Nobody asked him, how can we solve the problems for black women? Nobody asked him. I'm not saying he doesn't have a right to his opinion and put it out there. I'm just saying that's step one. Nobody was looking for Tyler's opinion on the state of black men and women. No shade. I appreciate Tyler Perry.
But isn't it a valid thing that we need to talk about, though?
Perhaps, but here's the thing, right? Sometimes people take the position of, well, I don't see you in a successful relationship, so why are you talking? We don't know what goes on with Tyler, right? He's very private and close to the vest as far as his relationships.
I'm just giggling.
Okay.
I didn't say anything. I'm listening.
Okay. Two, we know that a familiar trope in Tyler's productions is female suffering, right? And that wealthy men are portrayed as wrong and, incapable of being loving and open, concerned, suitable mates. And those handyman, though, they always come through. They got all the advice, they got all the love and all the hugs. And I'm not saying that this are not reflective of situations and things that happen in real life, right? But it is my understanding that these are, familiar tropes that we see across TP productions.
Mm-hmm.
And, some women are like, hey, man, say, bruh, don't got to be like that.
Yeah.
You don't have to keep addressing it in this form or fashion. And why? Why?
I also think, too, as an artist, there are certain things that we kind of just absorb. We hear these conversations. And even from my own standpoint as an artist, it's like, this is not particularly my problem, but it's my problem adjacent because I have friends in the mix, right? Mm-hmm. And as an artist, it's my duty to like kind of capture the truth and kind of have this discussion and want to solve a problem. So I think that's really kind of all he's trying to do.
Well, let me say this though as well, right? Sometimes when you have a conversation, right? It's just that, a conversation. You're not looking per se for someone to solve the problem for you. Mm-hmm. There may not be the expectation that you have the answer. Might just be voicing our frustrations at the current conditions, wanting something to change, blowing off a little steam, not necessarily looking for you to toe the line. And I'm saying you as in Tyler.
Of course.
To, solve the issue. And again, even Carrie Webb in the chat, she asked the question, is Tyler married? So I think that is one, on one hand. And when we come forward, I will tell you why I think some people are upset with Ebony, or share at least my opinion of it. And we will also get into her response to the backlash that she received about her comments. All of that and more on the other side. You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look, and unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at the gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for education as a right, not a privilege. Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science is a private, non-profit, community-founded, student-centered university committed to cultivating diverse health profession leaders who are dedicated to social justice and health equity for underserved populations. CDU does this through outstanding education, clinical service, and community engagement. Recently, Charles Drew University made history by opening only the 5th medical school at an historically black university. Congratulations, South LA, and congratulations to the dean of the medical school, Dr. Deborah Protho-Stith. CDU is now training doctors and providing $90 million in annual economic benefit to Watts and surrounding neighborhoods. To apply for medical school, get more information, or sign your child up for the Junior Doctors Saturday School program, visit cdrewu.edu. That's cdrewu.edu. At KBLA, we are dedicated to equity in education and ending healthcare apartheid, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So listen, we are talking black women, their love lives, and the advice givers of the world. Who is allowed to impart their own personal experience and wisdom to black women without them getting offended?
You know, I think we should move this to a black issue and not just a black woman issue, because it affects everybody in the community. So I think it's just a black love issue overall, because I think that's what the goal is, right? You want to find somebody black in your race and things of that nature, and I think we have to be aware of the things that come along with dating a black man.
Well, here's the thing. You say overall, but again, we'll go to those statistics, those numbers. Black women are the least likely to date outside of their race. Black men have tripled, almost quadrupled their interracial relationships since 1980. So it is a black issue. It is a black love issue, but the two genders are obviously taking different approaches in how they are solving it or coming to terms with it, or, you know, making things work. Carrie Webb in the chat says, didn't he choose to be a single father on purpose? Why? I promise I'm not coming for TP. I'm just asking questions. I think he's an amazing man. Urban Spinster says, Ebony was stating, if you want a husband and a family, start looking early. That is correct. That is fact. And Pretty Brown Mimi says, black women, we don't want to settle. Other women aren't settling, and black men aren't settling either.
Speak for yourself.
I think other races do
settling.
settle, and they don't really talk about it.
You think?
Oh, I'm thinking a couple examples right now, because, you know, I talk to people and I'll be asking questions.
Right.
I'll be, you know, and then a lot of times people talk to me and they feel comfortable in sharing certain things with me. So I think that it's I think a lot of more races settle. I just don't think that we hear about it, and I think that the perception is that other races don't have to settle, and they actually do sometimes.
I mean, I think everybody.
Yeah, I think everybody does, and it's so funny because I think more white folks are, you know, not even more. All we gotta do is turn on Lifetime Movie Network to see what happens in their relationships. Okay, there's a whole channel based on it.
Now that is facts. That is very factual.
So, and I also think that while black folks are out here trying to emulate certain people's relationships, I think that we need to stop and just really be into ourselves and not worry about what anybody else is doing. And I think that's always been the longstanding issue, because we're trying to compare ourselves to something that we shouldn't even be trying to aspire for anyway.
So let me ask you, is it about trying to compare, or is it more about when we were trying to achieve equal footing and equal balance, and so to speak, right? Because I think that these things are sort of offshoots of that, right? wanting your equal place, wanting more advancement in the workplace for women. And, these things kind of circle back to it. Or, what do you think? Pretty Brown Mimi says, I think we would date outside of our race more if we weren't seen as a fetish. I think that I don't think that has to do with it. I think black women, when you look at the studies, they want black men.
They want black men. Yes.
And there's a certain segment of all the people that are into, maybe wanting to date outside of their race for fetish reasons. That's a part of it for some, but I don't think that that's what's holding black women back, at least not in my opinion. Gregory Calloway says black men are allowed to give black women advice.
But I don't think black women are going to be receptive to that. I was talking to my friend earlier this afternoon, and we talk about this all the time. And, she said something to me. That was very much in line with what I said earlier. And she was like, a lot of the times I tell my friends, my good girlfriends, and they give me bad advice. They hype me up and say, F that, whatever. And now you got a circle of single girlfriends who are angry, alone, mad, and bitter because they done set up and gave each other bad advice.
Let me ask you a question. Why is the retort that a single woman is always angry?
I'm regurgitating what my female friend told me this afternoon in the conversation. This is not; these are not my words, because honestly, I want to get to the bottom of this. But in order for me to do this, I have to have conversations with people from all spectrums and who are in the dating pool. And this is what she told me verbatim. She was like, I get around my girlfriends and we give each other bad advice, we hype each other, and we end up being single, angry, and bitter at our decisions and our choices because we set up and did this to each other.
Well, they should get a better friend group.
And I said that. And this also goes along with what I said earlier. Sometimes people's parents give bad dating advice. So you can't necessarily go to your mother because she's not the one either to give you the proper advice. And now it's just a secular thing. And thank you for saying that, Carrie. She says she loves her mother, but she's probably not the greatest subject matter expert on love. And there are a lot of mothers that are like that. Some of them are honest about it, and sometimes they're not. They just tell you whatever it is, and then you end up being like your mother.
Okay.
Or like your father, depending on who you're getting advice from. And it's really up to you to be in alignment with yourself, to really figure out what it is that you want and what you're going to deal with in a relationship.
Andy?
Who's allowed to give black women advice? Derek Jackson.
Listen.
Let me say this.
No way.
Listen, y'all saying no way. Y'all saying no way. But before the scandal, trust me, you know what I'm saying? He went on an American tour. You know what I'm saying? He went to all the major cities. And let me tell you something. Even after the scandal, I still be seeing this post, and I see a lot of the comments, and a lot of the comments still be women talking about, yes, I agree. Yes, I agree. Part of me is joking, but then there's a little bit of seriousness, too.
I mean, so here's the thing for me. Well, Forensic Accountant in the chat says, well, the media sure doesn't reflect that black men moving about interracially, especially when it comes to advertising campaigns. I see far more black women paired with unshaven, scruffy white guys. Yeah, that has been the case as of late. I'm going to tell you one of the things that started that was the success of Scandal. But it's a changing time, and black women were looking to see themselves in different viewpoints. However, let's be clear. White men didn't necessarily want to see a black man in a commercial with a white woman either. So I don't know how many times, like, you see it, but you're not going to see it a lot because that's not necessarily comfortable for them. Part 3 to that is, listen, that's a new trend. It's like the black lesbian best friend on all of the TV shows as of late. There's certain things that just become in vogue because it's popular. And yeah, that's the look right now. But the numbers say, that is not what's going down. However, what I will say is the numbers also bear out that as far as interracial marriages go, black women, white men are the ones that seem to work and stay together the longest when they link up and come together. That's what the numbers say.
I have a question.
Yes. Both of you just sitting here silent.
Because I was processing that, and I want to know who these people are. Who are they polling, number one? And are people really being honest about that? Because well,
that's easy to look at. You look at the race of the couples and if they divorce or not. That part's easy. It was Pew Research, 2017. Andy, go ahead.
I'm just curious to know, like, how often do certain people date before they get to a conclusion that men are this or women is that, Like, if you just dated this one individual and you just all men are this or all women are like that, I don't know. If it's just 3 dates, like, nah, that's not enough. Like, if you dated maybe 10 people and then you've come to whatever conclusion, then maybe you have a little bit of credence. But off of one individual,
Well, see, there's a couple ways we can look at this. One, as we talked about, most people think it's average that you date maybe 2 people a year, right? So let's say you start dating 17, 18, right? Let's say within there you have one long-term serious relation. We're going to give it a 15-year time span. So we're going to go from 18 to 33, right? My math might be off. That's 15 years. No. That's 17 years. So I'm right. 18 to 33. That's 15 years.
Rounded off. 35 sounds bad.
Okay. 35. All right. Round it off. So if you date, let's say you just date one person a year. In theory, right? If you choose to be sexually active with that individual, that is 15 people over the course of 15 years. Let's say during that you have a 4-year relationship, right? So we're going to take out 4 of those numbers. Still 11. It's kind of reasonable, not really out of control when you think about it in the grand scheme of things. What did you say, Andy?
Said people be complaining after year 1. I'm 18. As soon as I turn 19, I'm complaining about all men. I'm all women.
But I mean, I think we have to, if we're talking about this current era, we know that as far as relationships and interpersonal connections, they aren't having as many. They aren't having as much FaceTime with each other. So there's that. They could be impressionable. One situation could devastate them. 2, again, social media. We get a lot of intel from TikToks and Instagrams and sharing their pain, sharing their hurt, sharing the embarrassment, sharing how they got ghosted, sharing how he had the audacity to ask this, sharing, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of places that people are gleaming information from. You got the giggles tonight. What are you laughing at?
Yeah, I was just thinking about these stories. These dating stories, and the one that came to mind was this guy who, they were in New York, a black couple. He stole this girl's tabby shoes.
Oh yeah, I saw that. She was a fashion girl.
Yeah.
They were talking, and he stole them and gave them to his girlfriend. Yeah.
So the people in their dating stories, but a lot of this is these young kids on social media, reshaping these things that. To me, it's just all stupid. And I think that...
but here's the thing, too. And I'm sorry to interrupt, but oftentimes I think because we have the language of, therapy now, right? Everything is not an incident. Sometimes it's just life. Sometimes 2 people aren't going to click. Sometimes we're just not a match. And it's awkward.
People don't talk anymore. I'm going to keep going back to this. It's the art of conversation. It got lost in transition somewhere.
That is facts.
And if people had conversations and they spoke to each other to understand and not to respond and compete, a lot of these issues would be solved. And they wouldn't even exist.
But is it true that they don't have, because admittedly, for most people, and they've done studies on this, their attention span has dropped as well because of social media.
If a person is interesting enough to engage you in a conversation, you're going to pay attention.
Okay.
When they're sitting across from you. I do it to people all the time.
Mr. Castle says something is either true or not. My richest uncle told me to get married to a lady 10 years younger than me. Okay. There's got to be more to the story, Mr. Castle. We're missing something. Him telling you to get married to a lady 10 years younger than you, and then what happened?
She can still bear children.
Okay. Speaking of, we haven't listened.
She's still moldable. You can still teach her a few things and lead.
We got to. Andy, were you about to say something before we get into Ebony's response? Well, let's get into Ebony's response, how she responded to all of the backlash.
Most women, even the most educated, high-earning ones, they want to be married, and they do want to have children in a more conventional way than I have chosen. And that is why I am talking to those women in particular, and I am targeting this advice to women that are young enough to do something about it on the front end. No way and no how do I believe that black women's worth is dependent on being married or pushing out some man's big-headed baby. Of course, we have tremendous value in this world beyond our roles as wives and mother, and only somebody very ignorant to my full body of work or otherwise disingenuous would come to any other conclusion. Now, of course, women can still find love and, yes, even get married after college or after 40, or I'm gonna mess y'all up, after 60. And of course, black women can be mothers in a litany of ways, including with partners they meet later in life, single mothers by choice, and so on and so on. And finally, of course, black women can partner and marry non-black men or black men with different levels of education. And still I stand by what I said. Most educated black women in this country desire to marry educated black men. And they also want to have children under the construct of that marriage. And the most opportune time to set up that structure is when you are surrounded by black men that are also pursuing their education. Last point. This is all about putting black women in best position to create that lifestyle. And nothing I'm saying is guaranteeing that y'all will stay married or even be happy, because nothing can guarantee such a thing. I'm only saying out loud what pockets of black elite communities have passed down generationally for years. And I respect that it's hard to hear, and no, you don't have to agree. But I am happy that we, as educated black women, are hearing each other, are seeing each other, and we're having the conversation.
Listen, we will dive into that on the other side because there is a lot there. There's a comment in the chat that I have to address.
That stuck out to me.
When we get on the other side.
Elite black community. So basically the conversations that were going on in Jack and Jill for years that what nobody was privy to has been the information.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but I don't even feel like it's a secret or that it wasn't privy. I just feel like it went out of style and now it's coming back in style because...
Not even that. It's just, it's not something that all black people had access to because all black people don't go to college.
Well, we'll talk about that on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
My last name, no regrets, don't got no shame. Playing no games, playing my way.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
I'm Esther Dillard, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. House Republicans held their first meeting in their impeachment investigation of President Biden. Republicans are looking into whether the president improperly profited off of his son Hunter Biden's foreign business dealings while vice president. The Biden administration has denied that claim. Meantime, President Biden is calling out Donald Trump as a threat to democracy. In a speech honoring the late Senator John McCain in Arizona, Biden said the former president is not guided by the Constitution, but by vengeance and vindictiveness. He warned that the so-called MAGA movement doesn't share the basic beliefs of democracy, which he says is at risk. And travelers are keeping an eye on how a looming federal government shutdown could affect flights. Congress has until Saturday to reach a deal to avoid the shutdown. And that's the latest. I'm Esther Dillard from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Boldly taking talk radio where it has never gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Tired of being locked out of job opportunities and shut down by systemic racism? KBLA stands with you in fighting for the rights of black workers, and we don't black down. The Los Angeles Black Workers Center is a dynamic alliance of workers, organized labor, community-based organizations, clergy, students, and scholars, working collectively to improve the position of the black working class. The LA Black Workers Center takes a comprehensive approach to addressing the black jobs crisis. Their programs promote access to quality jobs, racial equity in hiring and retention, discrimination-free job sites, and they prepare black workers for employment in high-wage, career-track jobs. The Black Workers Center supports workers who need help protecting their rights on the job. They give workers access to quality jobs and remove systemic barriers to employment. To sign up for free career readiness training, get involved in organizing around anti-discrimination, learn about union apprenticeship programs, or sign on to a trade registry, please visit www.lablackworkerscenter.org. That's lablackworkerscenter.org. Together, we can beat the black jobs crisis. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The Chase Ink Business Premier Card is made for people who make things happen, like me. I'm Sam, founder and CEO of Manifest, a product design company that makes everyday products designed smarter. I get 2.5% cash back on purchases of $5,000 or more, plus unlimited 2% cash back on all other purchases, which helps us make more smart ideas into a brilliant reality.
The Ink Business Premier Card. Learn more at chase.com/business premier. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours. Real business owner compensated for their participation. Account subject to credit approval. Restrictions and limitations apply. Cards are issued by JP Morgan Chase Bank. Any member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands for Unity and Healing. African Focus Incorporated is a nonprofit organization based in California that focuses on the growth and well-being of Africans all around the world. Their mission is to promote the well-being of people of African descent through knowledge and appreciation of one another by building a bridge of love and understanding. African Focus Incorporated strives for cultural, educational, and economic growth. They're the organization behind the African Family Induction Ceremony, African Goodwill Awards, African Focus Trailblazer Tours, African Dance Competition, and Showcase Los Angeles, Family Day, Good News Windows Microfinance Project, and more. To volunteer, travel with African Focus, or to attend one of their community building events, please call 310-676-7730. That's 310-676-7300. Or visit AfricanFocus.org. This is a diaspora-wide community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Be ready for extreme heat in your area. On days when extreme heat is expected, take action to keep your home as cool as possible. Set your air conditioner to 78 degrees. If AC isn't available, close blinds and curtains on all windows and run fans counterclockwise. Or find your nearest cooling center. Transportation help may be available. Learn more at heatreadyca.com. Brought to you by the state of California.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Like a moth to a flame burned by the fire.
My least favorite episode of Appropriate.
My favorite.
You see my desire. That's the way
I gotta
love
be in the mood for it. I am tonight.
April 30th, 1993.
Like a moth to a flame, burned by the fire.
What was that dance you was doing?
My love is blind, can't you see my desire? Like a moth to a flame, burned by the fire.
Had to let Janet rock for a second. You got two big Janet fans in here. And Janet is a what? Taurus. Just like me.
Yes.
Shout out to Janet Demita Joe Jackson.
May 16th.
That's right. We love Janet.
Absolutely. Shout out to Gary, Indiana.
You were just there.
I was just there.
Listen, this conversation has the chat going. There is a lot, so I need to get to some of these quotes in here. Mr. Castle says his uncle told him about getting a woman 10 years younger than him. He said that for fertility reasons, they can continue to have a baby far in advance.
I knew that.
And the fact that it will be easier to get her on his program, meaning under his control. That's that manipulation thing that they talk about. That is why they tell you don't get with the old man, because they're just trying to manipulate you. They're trying to mold you into the woman they think they want.
But what if he's steering you in a right, positive?
I mean, that's
good
an
direction.
individual conversation, but overall,
because sometimes it's not about manipulation.
I mean, but here's the thing, though, right? I'm assuming the woman's an adult, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in theory, I don't need your guidance, bruh. We are linking up to connect and have a relationship and grow together. I'm not looking for a mentor. That's something else, right? At least in my opinion. Mr. Castle always also said, Ebony K. Williams is also a headache. No man worth his salt is going to choose that mess. Even the Bible says you'd rather be alone in the desert. What makes her a headache?
I think she's very opinionated. I think she can be a little, and this is about to be some stuff that I'm about to start a pot. I think that she has a trait that a lot of black women have, and they tend to be.
What trait is that?
Tend to be a little dismissive when talking to black men sometimes, and I think that that's off-putting.
And I'm going to tell you that is likely an overcorrection from the dismissiveness of black men being your I mean, the thing is, there's a lot of damage, there's a lot of hurt. But I also think that when you think about the position that some black women have been left in, as far as being head of the household
and making all the money and the decisions,
there's a little resentment to that. And how are you going to come in and say, I'm going to lead, and you can't make sure that your household is straight?
So you said before that it wasn't really about finances, and you said the other day that if a man came in just because he had the money, he wasn't automatically getting the keys to the castle. So what is the context of having your household in order? What does that mean if it's not financial?
It means a lot of things. Are you spiritually connected?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have your priorities together?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know where you want to go as far as a person? Do you have a plan for your life?
And
do you have a plan for your life in it? I said finances aren't the final decision. They aren't the only decision, but they are a part of the thing.
No, I just want to know.
We got to survive.
What does it mean having an order? Because for a lot of women, having it in order, it means finances at the end of the day, because that's what the disconnect is oftentimes about. They want more than a light bill being paid, okay? And that was a horrible example,
or they want to be courted because
which is finances. It takes money to do that.
Because here's the reason why. The flip side of that is a lot of these women have been head of the household, whether they chose a bad man or the man chose to make a different decision. These men can go off, figure themselves out, pull themselves together, and not have the burden of being a parent and start over with a new family.
But
and new
can they
life.
really though? Because if
They
that was
do it all the time.
because if that was the case, then we would have more black men in a position to be available for black women. Yes or no?
No, they might be available for a younger, just like he said. They might figure it out and leave this woman with their scars and say, oh, she's damaged, but I'm going to go get me a young, fresh one that doesn't have all the baggage that this one has because I abused her.
How many young girls are going for an old man? Not many.
Depends.
Unless he's Rick Fox.
It depends. I mean, it happens.
Unless he's Rick Fox or something like that.
Pretty Brown Mimi says, Ebony has her preference. I think most of us black women do. She does come across as elitist and classist, but I don't think we should settle for less either. Urban Spinster says the old dudes want to manage younger women. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
T. Sworn says, it's funny how we all talk about this like it's one size fit all. That's just not reality. It's really about what works for you. And we always wrap these conversations up with, ultimately, and it's what I always say, you got to do what works for you. You have to figure out what your match is. What?
Pretty Brown Mimi is upset about this light bill. We know that he's a good man, Savannah, but no one told you to get with him. And what did Savannah tell her mama? After y'all forget the last part that Savannah told her mama when her mama said that he's a good man.
No,
she told her mama that won't you go then.
Exactly, but here's the thing,
and that's what y'all should start doing.
No, when we say to me, when I say, but he's a good man, it means exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
It's always, ignore his qualities because he's there, and he is making himself available to you. So pick up those crumbs, because what else you got to do?
Mm-mm.
Andy,
can a man who works at Target full time, has his own place, might be more of a studio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pays all of his bills. He got Wi-Fi. You know what I'm saying? He got himself a little bucket. Not no Rolls Royce or anything, but he's doing okay for himself. He'll travel during the summertime. He'll travel during the wintertime. Is he decent?
Travel where? No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
I'm going to Europe.
I'm just playing.
I'm going to Greece. I'm going to Greece in the summertime, and I'm going to Australia in the wintertime.
The thing is this, it's not like you can't just say, oh, this person works this job, they're not a good man or whatever.
The way Ebony said with the bus driver thing.
Well, hold on. There's a finish. Y'all didn't let me
finish. Come on, Jill.
Relax. He's a good man for someone. There's a lid for every pot, but Ebony's pot may not match up to his lid. And that's just the reality of things, He's traveling to Greece, but he might be at 3-star, which is cool.
Here we go.
No. But what and I'm not talking about me, I'm saying I, in the general sense, want 4 or 5-star, and I can pay for that. What we doing? I can pay for you.
Are you going to do that? Are you going to do that, Jill?
Am I going to do what?
Okay. Me and you, we go out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I already done paid for the tickets, but I could only afford the 3 stars. Are you going to be like, don't trip, babe. I'm going to put a couple extra dollars so we can upgrade?
If you like a person, of course, that is what you do in working together. However, we not going. We not going. You gotta already have all that stuff worked out.
I'm about to flip this table over, and I'm gonna say this just to make everybody listening mad again, because I love reminding. I'm so glad that I do not date women, because I will be stressed out constantly all the time, ready to off myself off my 4th floor balcony.
Why though?
Because this I don't have a dog in this race, but hearing this it stresses me out, because it's like
it's about connecting with the person that
like
you
people can't
match
be
with.
Satisfied, and like for what? Like it's so dumb to me.
People can be satisfied.
Bro,
they
it's
like
dumb.
what they like. But here's the thing. Why is
People
it so...
people ain't gonna never be satisfied. Enough is never
Here's
gonna
my
be
thing.
enough.
Why is it so
I'm mad
upsetting?
now.
Yeah, I see that. Why is it so upsetting if a person says, hey, this is what I like and I can do it for me and this is what I want to roll with? What is wrong with that?
I'm very 5-star too, and I was dating somebody who they're kind of 5-star, but they like to save their money and like not spend as much. We went out of town. Okay? They picked a 3-star hotel and I'm like, I don't want to stay here. I'm taking over the hotel arrangements, and it was no issue. And because it's to your point, I have fun on vacations by myself. I stay at great places. It's a great time. But also if I'm with somebody, like this is not your usual experience, let me show you something different for a second.
You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. And there's
Because
nothing
guess
wrong
what?
with like...
I was already spending the money anyway. So and I was already paying for a double room. So what's one more person that's like, come on. Like it's not even that big of a deal.
Carrie Webb says, I agree with you, Jill. If we go to Greece, I don't want to stay in a hostel. We can find a Marriott and I'll use my membership award.
Thanks, Carrie. I love it.
Urban Spinster says, I don't like hookups from friends because the connector doesn't do their research. If the guy appears to be a catch on the outside, he may be a poser with emotional issues.
That's why you got to screen people thoroughly.
That's what she's saying. Andy?
Because I screen all of my friends. I be all in their business.
I feel like we should end this conversation with positive dating experiences and maybe, capitalizing on those positive dating experiences. Like, what could we emphasize of what we've experienced in our dating times that maybe we should continue to push forward? Because it just seems like, we talking about the negatives all the time. You know what I mean?
I'll start. And here's the thing. Because I've had some phenomenal.
We're gonna put a pin in you. We're gonna put a pin on you.
Yes.
And when we come forward, you can share yours, and I will share what I think is gonna be very surprising to everyone.
Yes.
My thoughts about this.
Please, because listen.
All of that and more. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Heart failure, carpal tunnel syndrome, shortness of breath, stomach issues, lower back pain. How does it all add up? If you have heart failure and any of those seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, it's time to talk with your cardiologist and get the full picture. They may add up to transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy. ATTR-CM is a rare and underdiagnosed disease. Recognize the signs and discuss them with your doctor soon. Learn more at connectwithyourheart.com. That's connectwithyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family, and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
So we're in the after hours. RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580, discussing who can give black women advice on their dating and relationship issues. So I said that I would have something that would, probably sound off to most of you in these topics, but here it is. I do not care about relationship talk. I'm not moved by it. I'm not looking for advice. I'm not confused. I'm not woe is me. I'm not like, dang, I might have to be single and not with anybody into my latter years. I do not care about that. If you connect with someone and you have that relationship and it grows, that's cool. But the other side of the reality is, not to be morbid, a lot of women die before their husbands. So you could be alone anyway. So if you're depending upon that, maybe you shouldn't. But realistically, it hurts me in some ways that black male and female relations and relationships are in such a damaged place, because both sides are, seem to be lonely and crying out for that connection, but not really sure how to meet in the middle and get there and just go for what they want. But as for me, I don't care. I don't.
Jill.
Yes.
I say this with love and all respect.
I'm a thug.
You got PGP.
What is PGP?
Pretty girl privilege.
We talked about this 2 episodes back, or maybe 6, a week ago.
So Aubrey Sinclair says in the chat, we're going to circle back to it. One thing no one is discussing is what women are bringing to the table. All discussing about men and his money. Men need a woman to bring certain qualities to the table too. Well, I think and that's cool. We like that. But I think the thing is, what we've talked about, black women are going to college at higher rates, graduating from college at higher rates, achieving more things on the job. So they're bringing those type of things to the table. And of course, it is subjective. What you would like in a woman may not be what Andy wants in a woman. This man over here may want a woman that has a budding career and can, we can balance it out and handle things. This other guy might want someone that's going to be a damn good mom and have meals on the table 6 out of 7 days of the week. So I think it depends, once again, on who you're talking to. And I think people have to be more honest when they are having these conversations with each other about what they want from their relationships.
Positive things that we got out of relationships. Andy posed that question before we went to break.
Go. It's sure to go.
It's what I've said the whole time tonight, and the most positive thing that I got out of relationships is actually having real heart-to-heart conversations that solve so many issues, and they're very appreciated because they don't come there frequently and not in this age. So talk to people.
Communication is important.
Yes.
Carrie Webb wants to have she said, laughing out loud, here's the pretty girl privilege thing again. Let's talk about that. We only have a few more minutes left tonight, so we could start it a little bit. But let's definitely put it on the agenda for next Wednesday in the after hour. And we'll get into pretty girl privilege. Is it a real thing? And how it works and the problems that it can cause.
I think that attractive people definitely have a privilege, and yeah, there is privilege with being attractive for sure. Men and women both.
I mean, naturally, I think attractive people, obviously people want to, whether they just are lusting after you, want to be in your presence or want to be your friend, there are those benefits, but there are downsides. People could assume that you are in a space where you're not, just because you are physically attractive. People often assume, I mean, and we can kind of go back to the Brittany Renner thing. A lot of the comments have alluded to her having light-skinned girl privilege, biracial privilege, and that is why she's allowed to act as such and, you know, be as, because really she reminds me of a lot of white girls that I know, and it wasn't surprising to me to hear that she grew up with her white grandparents in a restricted environment. And I think that sometimes some of these preconceived ideas or concepts of what it means to be pretty or light skinned or, you know, some of these things color how people interact with you.
Yes.
And in turn, for some of those people, it changes how they interact with the world and how they show up in the world. T. Sworn says, absolutely, Trent. Communication and working within your means will bring you a happier life. Mr. Castle says, I can understand why women can be abrasive. It's something is hiding over there. Just doesn't mean I have to deal with that. You don't. And women don't have to deal with broke men. See how that works?
Oh my God.
I'm just saying.
Oh my God.
It was funny.
I know, but
it was
don't
funny.
joke like that because
But
they
it's
gonna
the-
get
but here's the
crazy.
thing. But it's the truth, though. You don't have to deal with anything that doesn't work for you. If you feel like this woman is speaking to you in a wrong way or that her tone is abrasive, you don't have to deal with that. You can find a woman that addresses you with the tone and the cadence that you prefer.
Yes.
But when that same logic is applied back on you, and maybe it's not about tone, maybe it's about finances, looks, whatever, you got to be understanding because
It always defaults back to money.
It doesn't always default back to money. I said looks too. I'm just saying, since this has been the breakdown of what we've been discussing as far as what women are looking for and what men are looking for, right? Because when it comes to men, what are they saying? I want her to keep her shape and not have an attitude. Those are kind of the things that they're really, when you break it all the way down, right? So, I mean, Pretty Brown Mimi says, if I qualify for it, I'd love to partake in this pretty girl privilege if I can. Sign us up. Listen, everybody has some type of privilege. Now, whether they choose to utilize it, act on it, or even realize what it can do for them is another thing. And sometimes it moves, you know? You might have pretty girl privilege in LA, but you might not have pretty girl privilege in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a difference of opinion and things like that. But everybody has things that they can play up, that they have that are unique or special to them, that is their, like, star thing that no one else can duplicate. So, and Terry says, Mimi, you have charmed all of us. So clearly that aura is shining through. Boom, boom, bam. Mr. Castle says, I'm not broke. I'm on course to be a 4th generation millionaire. Easier to get on my program means she is more flexible. I can make a career change like I'm doing now, and it won't be that big of a deal. I know what you meant, Mr. Castle. We all understood that. And what you mean by easier to get along with is easier to manipulate. No, I'm just playing. But you mean that you're not getting, I'm just playing. It means you're not getting any pushback. It's meaning that you can move around in the ways that you would like to, and you don't have to hear no me, justified or not. Like I said, lock in every week to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580 for more scintillating conversation. We're going to pick this pretty girl privilege conversation up next Wednesday. Remember, today is my Friday. I appreciate you guys. Check out Canelo versus Charlo this weekend. Check out USC versus Colorado. Check out the Supermodels on Apple TV Plus. We appreciate you. On the other side is the best of KBLA Talk 1580. Thank you to Trent the Artist from locking in. Have a good night.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The American soldier released from North Korea this week will be medically evaluated in San Antonio, Texas. U.S. authorities took custody of 23-year-old African-American Travis King Wednesday. King is being